Okay.
Hello, David.
Hello, how are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for your time with us today. David Tomas is the CEO of CyberClick in Spain, a very a company of reference, and also the author of what was the title in English?
The happiest company in the world.
The happiest, a wonderful tale on organizational culture. So as part of a research fellowship of the Institute for Advanced Sustainability Studies, we are investigating the significance of values and principles of business owners and leaders on their business practices. Mm-hmm. So this interview will be recorded and kept anonymous. I'm not sure how, but I'll figure it out.
We'll do it.
So that none of your statements will be associated with you or your business.
Okay.
And I would like to begin the conversation with content and then collect some objective data. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, so the first question. How did you as an entrepreneur come to the topic of corporate responsibility?
In my case, I become an entrepreneur because I didn't like the way companies were organized. So it was part of the journey to create a different company. But it took me really long time to start to do things differently, because at the end, the only organization I was aware of was the classical one, where the roles were really rigid and the tasks were always given by the management. So it took me a while. So I thanks to a lot of people and particularly to the Entrepreneurs Organization and a lot of the books I read. So I learned about NCR Holdings in the US, Semco in Brazil, and Nurse Next Door in Canada. So I started to gather information of different companies, obviously Virgin too. And so while I was reading the books, we start to try to do things differently. And one of the key principles that we learned from Nurse Next Door was to settle the core values. And Zappos was there too, so we learned from Zappos too, and establish them and try to hire, because we were using a method called top grading for the hiring process. So the top grading includes values and in the hiring process. So we emphasize that quite a lot, and that was an important part of the hiring process. So the journey, it was quite long. It took me I co-founded the company in 1999, and I would say we started to be at least put the basis of a different kind of company from 2006, 2007, and it took us at least 4 or 5 years to really have a complete different set of way of working.
It's 6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. And what does the term corporate responsibility mean to you?
The first impression that comes to my mind is that it's seen as a marketing title almost. No? For a lot of companies, it's really okay, that's something we need to do, because in the public eyes, we look better. But for me, corporate responsibility is something that is basic for a company. I don't think a company is meant to only provide profit for the shareholders at any cost, but there should be the 360 checkout and see that all the stakeholders are aligned and are winning. And I think it's possible, at least, to have the opinion of your providers, obviously your team, your clients, your city where you're impacting, and think a little bit long term, not only on the profits for next month or next quarter, but take a little bit the big picture. That's what it means for me, no? that you need to provide value for everyone. Obviously, shareholders are an important part and they need to have a return, but not at any cost.
Lovely. And what about the term sustainability?
Sustainability, you mean in terms of environment, you mean? Or,
yeah. Or responsibility toward other nations or future generations?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important for me. Companies, one of the roles they have is help people to fulfill their lives. Because I think we have a meaningful life as far as we do something we love and we are inspired to do. And the sustainability comes with that. I mean, if you learn in your company, if you realize of the magnificence around you and the environment, if you do a task that inspires you, you are more aware of your environment and you want to have a different kind of relationship with the people around you, with the the city, the country, everything. So you take a different step. Whereas if you're doing a task that is just a job for paying your bills, your level of awareness is different, right? It's just, you're just doing what you have to do, but you live your life like really not in a conscious way. So for me, that's something companies need to provide. That okay, our team needs to be aware of what they're doing, and then the environment or sustainability will come within our team because they are taking the decisions. And obviously, all of us want our children to have a place to live in the following years. So we want to take care of what we have around us.
I'm so happy we're doing this interview because I'm finding it so inspirational to listen to you right now. It's great.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to go to another section now. And in this part of the section, we're going to talk about the main interest, right? Which is our main interest in this section is your stance and your thoughts on a few topics. So the first one is in regards to decisions as an entrepreneur, which values or principles are important to you?
For me, what's important when I take a decision is that there are like several ways of thinking, but that is aligned with what I want to do in life. And in my case, I want to create the happiest and more fulfilling company in the world. So I try to make the decisions that go in that direction, at least as much as I can or I am aware. And in terms of the company, the decisions are again aligned. I mean, if I want to create the happiest and more fulfilling company in the world, I need to take decisions that are aligned with that. Obviously, we need to make the company sustainable, and it's a company that provides to the ecosystem, no? Our team, shareholders, environment. But that's what I have into account when I'm taking decisions. I think that if you're doing what inspires you, normally it's well related to the decisions you take with what's inside of you. The problem is when you're not living the life you want to live, so you just you go with the flow, or just do what you've been told to do. Then the way you take decisions, it might be totally disaligned with what you really think it's worth doing.
And in your company, how do you ensure the implementation of these principles or these values regarding?
The hiring process, that's key for us. So that's the most important thing. Once we have the values clear, we have that in every step of the hiring process. And we try to do a lot of contacts. So it goes from 5 to 7 different interviews with different people. And the team, which in this case we're talking about 16 people, they will all interview the new person that is getting into the team. So one of our biggest company is not the whole team, but the part of the team that is going to work with that new person. So that's important because we make sure that the person is aligned with the values. And then we have like a safety net, which is after the third week, we ask everyone if they think that this person has the core values. So we share core values. And they have a veto right or veto vote. So they can say that if they think the person is not sharing the core values, that person won't keep working with us. And we ask the person to if they feel happy and aligned with our way of working. And after 3 months, we do exactly the same. So we ask again if they have the core values plus the competency. Because if you have the core values, but you're not suited for this kind of the job you have to do, you're going to struggle, and you're going to struggle anyway, because you have the way of thinking and the willing, to do the things the same way, but then you don't perform at the expected level, and this is very bad for a team. You need different people with different skills, but at least they have the same kind of capacities or the same level of performance, because people that perform well want to work with people that perform well. And it doesn't mean that someone that is not performing here is a bad person. On the contrary, but it means that they are suited for another kind of job. And the best thing you can do is learn what kind of job is good for you, and you are better than the average, and try to work in that particular area. So we do that. And then the other thing we do to ensure that we have the core values is talk about them. Because if you and me, I can say chair, and you're imagining a green chair, really big, and I'm imagining a wooden chair, really classical, different. So we're talking about the same as a chair, but yours has nothing to do with mine. So what we do is we talk about the core values, and every single week, and that's an idea we got from Nurse Next Door. I don't know if they keep doing that, but at that time they were doing it. We talk about you have to bring an example of one of the core values that you lived the previous week. So Monday morning, we have lunch all together. The company provides a team. We're sitting 16 people in the meeting room. We have a lunch consensus. So that lunch, we talk about the topics that need to be discussed, that they need consensus. And we end the meeting with everyone sharing an example of one of the core values that they lived the previous week. And what's interesting is, one, we share topics, and if someone says an example and I say, well, I don't agree with that, I don't think that's a customer experience freaks because blah, blah, blah. So we have an open discussion, and that's very good. And the second thing is that there is a lot of recognition among the team, because it's very common that I say, well, I have an example of admired people for John because he was doing that last week and he helped me on that topic. So it's a peer recognition too. And the third thing we do is every quarter we read a book that has something to do with one of our core values. So one day, every quarter, we sit with a cup of coffee all together and talk about the book and what we've learned and how we can apply some of the ideas in the company.
Wow, I'd love to hear what your list of books is.
Yeah, I can share it with you. Now we're reading, I think the title in English is The Box, from Arbinger Institute.
Okay.
So that's the one that we're reading this quarter, and we have like the meeting at the end of November.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Now, so far we've been talking about entrepreneurial values and principles, and now we're going to take a bit of a shift and talk more about you.
Okay. That's the topic I love. That's my.
So these are some questions about your own personal values and ideas.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one is: in which social environment did you grow up?
So, in which sense? What information? My family, my. So, if you want about my family, my family, they had a small business, a retail store, and it was like I don't know how to say in English, but yeah, they have a small business, and it was like I was going to a normal school in a. I mean, it would be like middle class with a small school, really nice people, and I was most of my time I spent it with my grandparents, and actually I think I was one of the like the entrepreneurial mindset comes with my grandmother that she actually started. Well, I mean, you know, after the civil war in Spain, she started her own store, and she was really like with a lot of strength. So I guess she had part of this DNA and behavior was inside me. So uh, that was the kind of environment I was born. Yeah.
And which patterns of behavior were important to your parents, and which ones were promoted or rewarded? And you talked a bit about your grandmother and the entrepreneurial spirit. I don't know.
Yeah. So, well, because we live all together, so it's like I was raised by my parents and my grandparents at the same time. They were both working. So my grandparents retired, which at that time I think I was 6. But they keep helping because we had like 2 stores. So when my grandparents retired, we already had we had another one. And in terms of the things that were important, it was responsibility, respect, effort, and freedom. As far as you were responsible, there was a lot of freedom.
Wow.
So I would say, yeah.
You were lucky.
Yeah, no, I mean, but it was not easy. I mean, I need to help them. So it was not funny when I was 14, 14, and all my friends were going out, and I had to help my family with the business. But on the other hand, I mean, I was normally the one who, because they paid me, obviously. I mean, so I had money and freedom to do what I wanted. So when I was, I was 17, I went to Japan and I did an interrail. So they allowed me, I was able to go to the States too. So they gave me a lot of freedom as far as I was studying. That was important. So I get good grades, or at least pass the exams, and I help them whenever they need me for the retail store. But on the other hand, they gave me a lot of freedom in that sense. And there was something I wanted to mention. It came to my mind. What was that? Oh yeah, it was important reading. So that's something worries me, because nowadays, I mean, I use Kindle for reading. So my kids never see me with. They don't see me with a book. And in my house, there were a lot of books. So for me, it was really interesting. I could get the Quran, and I was reading the Quran. I could read Descartes when I was 16 or 17. I could have a quantum physics book. So they had my dad. He was always buying books, and I mean, the library was there, so I was able to get any book. And at that time, there was no Facebook, no Twitter. So if you don't like what was on TV, then I normally took a book. So I was like a voracious reader.
Yeah, which answers the second, or starts to answer the second question, or the next question, which is, which values and principles have you experienced or learned as an adult? So I take it from all that reading or other experiences, what triggered some of those values that you discovered as an adult?
I have a thirst for learning, so I'm always learning. I read a lot. Every year I invest in myself, like going to events with the entrepreneurs or with people I like to learn, and it's from different topics. What I'm really interested in is psychology, the way we perform at our maximum level, organizations of companies, marketing. So all these topics I'm always learning, and that's one of the important things for me. And then as an adult, I mean, I studied NLP too, and for me that was interesting. It helped me to change some of our mindsets that could be improved. So for me, it was quite interesting. But I mean, every single year I've done at least 2 or 3 courses that were interesting for me. So I always I have like this as a rule that I invest in myself every year and try to learn something.
Wow. And looking at the world and the human race, which behaviors or mindsets would you like to make stronger, and which ones would you like to make weaker?
I don't want to change anything. I mean, it's not, I mean, I love freedom. So for me, the more freedom people has, the better. So that's the thing. So freedom, self-awareness, and live your life, or live the life you desire, not the one that an authority, your family, a religious person created for you. So just design the life that you really want to live. And I think we all know that. We all know the kind of life we want to live. The problem is that we are afraid of living it because we have so many limitations and so a lot of pressure around us that doesn't help us to take the next step. And we all have fears. And I have fears as everyone. So that limits you. But when you realize that you're doing what you really want to do, and that you know within yourself that this is meant to you, the fear like dissolves a little bit. So it's the voice outside is lower than the voice inside.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't like to change. I mean, I like people to be as they are. The thing that I would say, I think that the more black and white thinking you have, it is difficult to accept the reality. So for me, I would appreciate if there's more gray, like we accept that there's no real truth. Mine is not better than yours, but we both have different point of views.
Yeah.
So the more openness we have, the better. But I don't think we need to change anything, but make people conscious, so everyone gets conscious and they live the life they want to live.
Cool. I'm so inspired listening to you. Now, returning a bit to your business practices, if you implement or are about to implement sustainability measures in your business, which feelings does this evoke in you? Do doubts, fears, or what sort of considerations come, and how do you deal with those?
Sustainability, but again, in the environment, in the company that's sustainable and growth? Or?
Whichever, you think it should be. We talked about it, right? So it could be to the environment, it could be to other nations, future generations, reshaping the economy as a whole and society, integrating ethical values.
I don't think companies need to be sustainable. I mean, you can create a great company and be dissolved in 5 years. They improve the environment around them. They empower the people that were working in the company. So for me,
yeah, the sustainability, I think, in this context is meant not on sustainability of the company, but sustainability of the environment or society or the exterior.
Mm-hmm. The feeling that comes from me is like, it's like, I don't know if that's a feeling, but like something that really needs to be done, or reaffirmation of that's really important. No, it doesn't how you say it? Well, let me see. say it in another words, it's well, another feeling would be that sadness, because it's not what the market values nowadays, right? So most people, if you buy the stock of shares of a company, you don't value sustainability that much. But the worst thing is, if you buy a product, you don't value sustainability neither. So you just, well, in general, right? It's like you see the product, you like it, and you don't care, or at least you don't want to be aware if that product is causing more drawbacks than benefits to the world. So that would be the feeling. But I guess that's going to change, especially for the social networks and the new technology, that the information we have nowadays can change things, and the users at least can be aware of what they are buying.
You're an optimist.
Yeah, always. yeah, that's another of the values, to be optimistic. Some days is more easy than others, but in general, I'll try to see things as in an optimistic way.
It's important for happiness.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that our mind is designed to be a pessimist, and I see that in myself. That generally, if I don't make an effort, my mind will go to the worst possible scenario.
Oh, mine doesn't.
Yours doesn't?
No.
Well, lucky you. Mine, I analyze things, and I always see what's the worst scenario, but I need to make an effort to, okay, let's think what comes out best. No? And I have some mindsets of an optimist, but I think the majority of brains are designed to check for what is the danger.
What could, the amygdala brain kicks in.
Exactly.
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 We're derailing from the script, but I read, since you're into happiness, an amazing book which is called Authentic Happiness by Seligman. He's the father of positive psychology, and that book is unbelievable in terms of...
I will buy it right away, because I haven't read it, and I was, a few weeks ago, I see somewhere the book, and I said, well, I need to buy the book. So
strongly suggested.
I'm going to buy it right away.
All right, so let's move along. Now we would like to shift your focus away from your business practices towards those of your industry. Mm-hmm. What are the commonly used measures for environmental protection in your industry?
Well, I'm not really aware, because we are a technology company, so what we produce are bits, and so we're not producing any physical goods. So I can tell you much. I know, like, there are some protocols, and but I can tell you much about that.
And what are the good practices for the ethical supply management for companies of your type? Probably similar. Not too relevant.
I don't know neither.
Yeah. What do the most sustainable companies in your industry do in order to always act in the best interest of customers?
No idea. I can answer that. You know what? I don't check that much our industry, because it's like the ad tech and marketing technology is like a kind of a new industry that is reinventing every day. So I'm not checking what the rest of the companies are doing. We try to center in what we do, but I cannot tell you much about the other companies.
And are there any practices do you use in order to improve your ecological and or socially fair business management?
Ecologically, social?
Ecological and or social fair business management.
Ecological, I'm not aware of that we do something in particular. In terms of social, we normally collaborate with NGOs or projects that we like, foundations that we like. So our team spends part of their time working with those companies. We help them on what we know what to do. So now, for instance, we are helping a foundation to launch a campaign for collecting money from donors. So that's what we do. So since we know about digital and marketing, we help those organizations.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of this interview, and we would now like to understand some basic information about your business. Quick questions. How many employees work for your company?
So CyberClick, it's only 16. The companies that we've built from CyberClick, in total, it's almost 70 people.
Okay. Which products and services do you offer?
It's marketing and technology, and there are several. CyberClick does what is called performance marketing. We have another company doing inbound marketing, another doing search engine marketing. So it's all about marketing and technology.
Which covers in what industry is your business?
So it's marketing and technology.
What was your turnover in 2015?
2015, it was almost 7 million in euros.
Okay. What is the share of renewable energy resources and the use of recycled material in your business? Not applicable.
I have no idea. We don't use much paper, I have to say. So we consume beads and electricity, but I can give you a lot of data on that.
What is the share of your profit that is used for the improvement of ecological and social practices?
I don't know exactly that answer. I should check it, but I have no answer. I don't know the percentage. At least the social we don't measure. So people, because they don't have a schedule, so they work as they like in the projects they want to work. So it's very difficult to measure the impact. I mean, we could measure the kind of work we're doing for those foundations and give it a value, but I don't know. We don't track that.
On average, how often during a month do you speak with other entrepreneurs about ecological, sustainable, and fair business management?
Fair business management, yes, I do, and I would say probably 2-3 times a month, at least.
Are there any questions you may have or aspects that you want to share with us in the context of this research project?
Let me see. No, I don't know. Now, nothing comes to my mind particularly, but if I have any question, I'll ask you.
And the last one, is there anyone you would like to recommend for us to engage in this project?
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of people. So I definitely would try to talk with John DeHart, which is the founder of Nurse Next Door. And I think I read something that he's not anymore in the company. He started a new project. He's from Canada, but I guess would be someone really interesting. At least we'll learn a lot from him. And I don't know, there's Cameron Harrell, that he was the CEO of 1-800-GOT-JOHN, and he's a lot of into company culture and how companies grow with really a great culture. And that would be someone interesting to talk to. Yeah, there's in Spain, there's Jaume Gurt, which is now for Shipstead Group. He's like the people person, and he was the CEO of InfoJobs. So that would be someone really interesting. And yeah,
Yeah, good.
There's a long list. Let me think about it, but then I'll give you more names. There's a bunch of interesting people that are doing great things.
Okay, well, thank you very much, David. I'm
Thanks
going to
to
stop
you.
recording now.
Yeah.